Yes, Sia Alexander Brume is the author of this book I have in my hand. It's called I Am, You Power This Life. I'll show you to you in a bit. But this book is an essence of helping people understand that really we are the results of the thought processes that we have and how we process those thoughts. Right, Sia? Yes. I'm glad to have you, on the set, but you are a resident psychologist because you write for us in the magazine, TW Magazine, and also once in a while I invite you to the studio to talk about these things.
Right.
But, when you chose to study psychology, you didn't know that life was going to throw you some really serious hoops that you're going to have to deal with personally. Right. Sia is an American Nigerian. Is that correct? Or Nigerian American? Because you're American, but you're Nigerian. Have we given you a passport yet?
I like to call myself an Urobo woman. Yes.
Because you married an Urobo guy.
Yes.
He's the one that brought you back here.
Exactly.
Well, you lost him.
I did.
At some point in time. So then your psychology came into use, or what? Or your psychotherapy background?
It was one of the most challenging experiences of my life. So it definitely brought to the fore some deeper strength and deeper wisdom that I applied in writing that book and that I continue to apply as I work with people who have mental health disorders.
Okay.
Yeah.
But though you are a psychologist and a psychotherapist by training, you're also a model and you also produce holistic products.
Yes.
Okay. Do you still do those things?
I do, because my philosophy is a holistic one. So I believe that when healing oneself, you have to work on every level. It's not just a mental healing, it's an emotional healing, it's a spiritual healing, as well as a physical healing.
I hear you speaking just like what Larry said earlier, that mental health is beyond the physical. It's beyond it's your mind and your body at the same time.
Exactly.
But in your experience as a psychotherapist, what are the fundamental problems that we have in dealing with it? Or is it identifying it? That's a bigger problem, or what?
You know what I think the fundamental problem with the whole, psychology establishment is that the roots of people's mental health disturbances aren't really addressed. Most times people are diagnosed and then drugs are prescribed without getting to the root of what is asking to be heard, what is yearning to be discovered through this imbalance. I think my work is to help people discover the deeper issues that are causing their so-called mental health problems.
So calling it mental health problem, is there a better name for it?
Well, there are many names, there are many labels for diseases, but I think it's important to not so much focus on the names, but focus on how we can go deeper within ourselves and find what needs to be addressed and address it, honor it, resolve it, and then become more whole beings.
Why did you choose to study psychology as your first degree?
I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to heal, to make better. And I found that psychology was the closest career to that goal. Yeah.
So tell me about the journey to this book. This was after you lost Ovie, was your husband?
Yes.
At that, it's been gone now for about many years now?
12.
12 years?
Yes.
Goodness. How old is your daughter now?
She's 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's a young lady now.
Yes, she is.
So and the way you lost him, if I recollect, you were in the U.S., you had just left Nigeria, and then you get a call that, this guy that you left healthy and fine is gone. And that finished you off for a few weeks.
Yeah, it was...
Was this book out of that?
It definitely grew out of the healing process that I went through after that tragedy.
So give me the journey.
Well, I can sum it up for you. Basically, I was at rock bottom, and I had a 2-year-old to raise, and so I could not stay at rock bottom.
Describe rock bottom.
Rock bottom is a place where you have lost all hope.
Like what Bassi experienced? She couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep.
Right. And I'm so glad that you brought in her story, because what I'd like to express is that we all go through challenges in our lives. It wasn't just me, it wasn't just her, it's all of us. That's part of the human condition. We are put here in order to face challenges so that we can grow spiritually. So they are actually blessings in disguise, and we can even move away from calling them disorders to calling them blessings. Because when you get to rock bottom, that is the place where you can rise up in consciousness and seek God. When things are going smoothly, when everything kind of fits well, you may not be driven to seek higher. But when you're low, when things are so difficult, that is when God can now step in and become the guide, the essence that lifts you and then lives through you.
Isn't that dependent on if you recognize that you can get out of it?
Yes, and that is why I don't really agree with drugs as a way to heal mental health issues, because drugs mask that yearning for something higher.
It's a faster process, isn't it? Using drugs to get somebody out of depression.
It's a panacea that doesn't have any real substantial healing capability. The real healing has to come from facing that thing, that issue, that crisis, kind of going through a process of discovering what is it in me that is out of balance and why, and coming to a resolution through that, alchemy.
And acting on it. The word I picked from what you've just said, it hit me, out of balance, and so when you have a mental disorder, it's like you're just out of balance. It's just to shift everything back into balance.
Yes, and it's important to understand that a lot of what is called mental imbalance is actually a strength that those of us who are very sensitive to the conditions around us, a strength that we show in rebelling against those conditions. When you're crying, for no reason, for no apparent reason, when you're depressed, you're, lacking a sense of hope, a sense of vision. Why am I here on this planet? That is because the soul in you, the spirit in you, is getting strong.
That's interesting.
Yes. Those individuals who are just kind of coasting through this life and taking everything as it is and not really showing any outward signs of imbalance are complacent. It is those individuals who react against it, who it's jarring. They can't sit, it doesn't sit well. They're crying, they're sad. It's because their soul wants to come forth and say no to some things that are not acceptable.
I find that interesting. I guess that explains why most creative people are seen as, we call them Kulu mentality, people who are like a little different.
Right. You'd be surprised. Some philosophers have said that the real mad people are the people who are acting sane.
Yeah. So what's interesting, I think I'll share that thought with my other panelists when we return after the short break to discuss this. But as always, I must remind you on the panel, the essence is for all of us to see how the three different people can give ideas that you can